What is meant by default method today? So we know that like what default method is. So generally, take for example, I have two classes. So I'll create one more class, which I'll call it like I create one more Java class A. That's it. I have created it and I'm going to change it as an interface. It's not a Java class, it's an interface in interface. So before an explanation, so before implementing, I'll give an small explanation like default method na. So it is used to implement a function with an interface. Okay, this is enough. So what does it says? We can be able to implement a function, but we know that interfaces are interfaces is generally used to create 100% abstraction. We all know that like 100% abstraction can be achieved with this. But what it will happen if we implement something over in an interface? So that's somewhat difficult. So it has been introduced within java 8. Okay, let's try to implement that like abstract void. I'll create a star function. Okay, it's an abstract function. I'm not going to make anything over here. I'm not going to make anything like okay, I just make it like public as well. Public void star. And I'm going to create one more function here with default void d. I'll create a function. Okay, d is the function name wherein I'm going to create like system dot out dot println default method. Okay, default method we are going to execute. So that's why I have named it as default. Okay, this is an interface A. Just keep it in mind. I'll go to my main class. I have a normal main class. Here I'm going to create one more other class B. How we can be able to call an interface? We will be using implements of what? Of EA, right? So I'm going to use that. Mm, okay, as per solid principles. Now, so what solid principles is generally means? So the implementation should has to be should have some extended features, right? So that's what it says. So extended features should be there. What extended features that we can be able to create over here? I have created an abstract function, so I need to implement that in my main class. In my main class, right? So this is my main class. I'm going to create it like void. Okay, public void. I'm going to create the same. So public void star of what I'm going to create like it's a normal function. So I'll just name it the same. So system.out.println. It's a normal function and it's a and we are going to check what is a default function. Okay, I have created it. In my main function, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an object. Okay, create an object. So that's what I'm going to do. How can we be able to create an object? So I have a class A. I'm going to name a new object. This is a variable name I'm going to give for my object. Okay, so is equal to new B. I have created it. Okay, I have created an object. I am going to call an object call for the method D as well as my method star. Okay, for both I'm going to make it. Let's run and check what's the output for this. We have our default method with a D and star with normal function. Okay, let's check what is meant by default function. Why are we actually saying it as a default function in the sense we have two methods, right? In interfaces, through interface we can be able to achieve 100% abstraction, but we are making some implementation over here. Just we know that like abstraction is like hiding all the implementation details. See, but here we are implementing something. Okay, by default keyword we can be able to implement something even in the interface. That is simply default method. And the implementation in A, that I have implemented some method now that should not affect my class B. See, anything I have declared with D method, no, right? So it is not needed. with all the implementation classes. So that's why we are just naming it as a default method. So that's not needed. Okay, if we can be able to simply complete within the interface, and we don't need to interfere the interface all the functions. Some of the functions must have to be hidden inside only one interface, and it is not needed in all the implementation. In those cases and all, we can be able to use default keyword. That is simple. Over here, I have also declared a normal function for your clear understanding. I have made it abstract. So I have hidden the implementation details here. I have given the implementation details inside the implemented class. Another class I have implemented. So within that I have made it. I have created an object and shown as well. So everything has been, like here the default method will be getting printed, and the normal function will be getting printed here. This is generally we will be calling it as like default method.